on this time. McCallan! Yeah! 1-0 to Tranmere! Oh my word, Barlow! They've got a ball!
Colin Jennings, James Norwood! James Norwood has scored it! Reece with the cross, the header, it's in! It's Colin Jennings!
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Prenton preview, the first one of the 2022-23 season. So here's what we've got coming up for you today. We go behind the scenes to Tuesday's dramatic win against Accrington Stanley. We get an insight from Andy Hodgson from the latest episode of the Rovers Ramble podcast. We go inside the campus to see how the boys are preparing for Saturday's game against Gillingham, and we get the pre-match thoughts of Neil Byrne and Mickey Mellon. First up on today's show, we take a look back at Tuesday's dramatic cup win against Accrington Stanley. What a game that was, and we've been rewarded for our efforts with a home draw here at Prenton Park against Premier League side Newcastle. The tickets for that game will go on sale very soon, so make sure you keep an eye out on our website and social media for more information. Next up on today's show, we spoke to fitness coach Andy Hodgson to see what his job role entails.
Andy Hodgson to the podcast today. He's the head of fitness at the club. Andy, how's your summer been? Have you had much time to relax?
It's been, as far as summer holidays go, it's been a busy one for myself on and off the pitch. Obviously, on the pitch, it's there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. The new players coming in. It's always easy when the staff maintain the same. So we've got that core understanding of where we need to be come the first day of pre-season. So that makes my life a lot easier. But obviously the influx of players coming in. So there's a lot of background research to be going on, particularly working with James Vaughan. He's quite extensive with his research. So, you get your off time, but then off the pitch, obviously, I'd have moved home and had a couple of weddings, and it's nice just to try and chill and get your downtime. But the problem with us, the fans see a big gap from when you leave and when you come back in, and as always the case, just generally time the prep. So, but it's been a good off season, yeah.
How much time off do you realistically get? Because, like you say, the fans just see you at the end, at the start of May, and again a few months later.
So, to be fair, this is probably the longest I've had since I've been at Tranmere. So, I mean, obviously, I came in the season we got promoted from the conference. So, the conference playoffs obviously stretching for as long as they did. Then the start of going into the Football League and League Two. So that time gap was really small, and then the season after that, obviously we did the double, so the time gap again because of the playoffs was really small. We then had COVID, so there wasn't really much off time because you were trying to juggle the players' load while we were away from home, waiting for the season to start. Then the season did start, but you only had a short notice period from when the season started, so that was a bit tricky. And then obviously the season after that we had the playoffs. So anytime you get into the playoffs, your off season's really small. So you have to be really careful what you do with returning players. And obviously as Tranmere now are getting, that good standard of player, because, we're a fantastic club. You start getting the likes of Lee O'Connor, who's on the international duty. So you have to be very mindful that, now in the off season, they don't really get much of an off season. So you're still on your laptop sorting out bits and bobs. We've had a bit of recruitment within the medical department. So obviously that takes up a bit of your time because you need to get the right people who fit the Tranmere profile, which is massive for the football club and something big that the chairman talks about. So, the off season never really stops. And then I'm fortunate that I've got a good working relationship with the gaffer, who I've worked with for, a very long time. So we're always on the other end of the phone with each other and bouncing ideas across, and Gaffer's mentioning about this player or any concerns. So, he's a very hard-working manager. So, it's not like he's asking me to go above and beyond. It's just something we're used to. So the off-season, really for I don't know what it's like at other clubs, but I've got a rough idea. But particularly with my management and the Tranmere, they're pretty small. They're very small. But that reflects with, you look at the backdrop behind you, the groundsmen are working hard. People like yourself are working hard. Good clubs never really just shut down for the summer and lock the gates up and then see you again first game of the season.
And just for the fans, I fancy before a game, sort of any sort of videos we do, training, could you just describe to them sort of how they'd understand it to what you do, rather than just them seeing you make the players run around for a long time?
Yeah, well, it's so anything to do with sort of like your physical performance is sort of where I drop in. I have some overlap with the technical and tactical, but that's where your coaching staff go in. And I think me as a practitioner, it's important that I don't go in there and say anything about that. That's not my job role. But my job is to sort of bridge the gap between the physical demands of the positions that the coaches want players to play in, the demands of the game, that the way they want them to play. So if it's, a pressing team, if it's a running team, if it's a sprinting team, if it's a counter-attacking team, that's my involvement to say, right, the players not only within that infrastructure on the pitch, but also the demands of the positions, that they can meet these requirements that are desired by the gaffer. So anything that, is technically and tactically, I don't touch, but anything physical in terms of body mass, skin folds, nutrition. That's covered within my department, but obviously with the support of Aaron, who's our club nutritionist, and then the load monitoring, the gym prep, the pre-ab, the recovery, and any kind of like return to play. That's sort of within my side. The physiotherapist side is within the department, but obviously something that I link in with, because the physio side is slightly separate to what I do, but there's massive overlaps within it.
I think it's clear to see that anyone that speaks to you or knows you, how passionate you are and how much you love your job. How did you first get into, sort of when you was younger, this sort of role?
So I started, funnily enough, where I am now, I live towards the Blackpool way. So when I started interning as a sports science at Fleetwood Town Football Club. That's where I got to know the gaffer. Obviously, I was finishing education, and they said that one of the nearest teams that were up and coming were looking to bolster this sort of sports medicine department. So I began working as an intern at Fleetwood Town. I was sort of brought in to kind of help with more of the scientific side. So they had like a more pitch-based fitness coach who do like the running and the sort of gym stuff. But then they wanted to bring me in to sort of bolster the monitoring, how far, how fast, how frequent, weight, skin folds. So that's when I stepped in as a very young Hodgie, and then got to work with the gaffer. And then obviously the gaffer, we just had a good working relationship. I got promoted within. I then became the head fitness coach. We had a successful season. We got promoted. And we had another good season. The gaffer then went to Shrewsbury, and because of the working relationship, I followed him to Shrewsbury and then followed him to Tranmere.
And what were your inspirations sort of before you sort of knew what you wanted to do when you was really young? Was there anyone you sort of looked up to, or any path you found to inspire you?
Well, I'll be honest. I fell into this a little bit. I mean, I didn't go to uni saying I wanted to be a fitness coach. I went to uni because I wasn't good enough to play football. I was really good at college with human biology and like physics. I was good with numbers. People are different. I'm one of those guys. 1 + 1 is 2, or I need a definite answer. I'm not really good with explain your theory of this and argue this, and that's not me. I need tangible, raw stuff. So that's where people with me with data, I just took to it. Fell into sports science because I was really good at sport, but I was really good at the numbers. Just wasn't good enough to play football. And then doing sports science was when I started making my networks of friends. Obviously, I was doing coaching back home and had a friend who was just signed from the town, a mate called Jamie Milligan, really good player. And then obviously it was while he was at the football club, they were looking to bring someone in. And then obviously he reached out to me and said, when I was finishing, what do you fancy doing? So I kind of fell into it a little bit. Towards the end, I knew that I was going to have some sort of, with my attitude and the way I am, I was going to have some career in sort of improving people. I loved coaching. I loved helping people. I loved, making sure people aren't, getting hurt or anything like that. That was sort of kind of where I was getting molded towards. But it was just kind of taking this skill set that I had with being able to present data. I was good with that. I was good at calculating things. I was good at figuring out numbers. So that kind of molded me into the role, which is slightly different to the way it is now. So obviously 12 seasons ago when I first started, the load monitoring techniques were completely different. The pre-ab was completely different. The way that you kind of periodize your training was completely different. The fundamentals are always there, but it's very, very evolutionary because of the technology. It's technology is just accelerating now. So our monitoring techniques are completely changing. But it's something I fell into, but I also fell in love with. I fell in love with the job very quickly. I loved the passion of winning. I loved the fear of losing. I love the way that drives you. I loved working within an environment with teams that want to strive and get better. I mean, I've worked at some great clubs and got promotions. I don't think I could ever work at a club that was striving to sort of sit in mid-table. That for me would just be boring as sin. And that's why since I've come to Tranmere, it's been one hell of a ride that I've loved every minute of, because it's a club that has an infrastructure that wants to get people better. You know, staff, yourself, everyone who works at Tranmere, constantly trying to get better. The players are striving to get better. No one really comes here as a stopgap. You're either coming as an up and coming and want to prove yourself and kick on, or you're coming towards the end of the career but want to make sure you get as many games as possible. No one comes here just to sort of, you know, take the payday and sit on their arse.
That chat with Andy was from our latest episode of the Rovers Ramble podcast. So for the full podcast, plus loads more, make sure you sign up to our YouTube memberships if you haven't already. Next up on today's show, we go inside the campus to see how the boys are preparing to face Gillingham here on Saturday.
They probably give him captain and
out when you want them to serve up with the volley, just follow him. It's good. Anything you want, if you want it for a bit of fitness, anything. Yes, Connor. Yes, good. Well done. Yes, good. Yes. Yes, good. Yes, Connor. Yeah. Yes, good. Nice you.
Boys, lunge up. Two backwards for me, Nev. Yeah, from there. You're allowed to.
a few weird body shapes, but
Forward, backward. In and out. High speed run, full stop, speed up. The lads from the other night, I'm still not. Full stop. Let's get ready to work hard. The top up group, good.
the belly in them. Come on, Pablo. Forward. Play there.
Set me. Go on, kid, finish him. Yes.
Pablo. Nice, Pablo.
Finish that.
I'll go, I'll go. Yes, Josh. And again.
Nah, no chance. Set me, set me, set me.
Yes.
1-1.
Scared. Come on, Eve. Come on, Eve. Set me, set me, set me. There you go.
2-1.
Yes, man.
I'll go.
You miss, you miss, you miss. Let's have a red kick from someone, please.
I'll go. Yes, Paul. Yes. No, maybe not. Yeah.
Fit me again.
Oh.
I've never seen someone pass it back the way on the top.
Yes.
Here, please.
Please.
Yeah. Time.
Again.
Turn, Joel. Turn. Ah, make sure now.
Tighter, Ben. Too soft, Ben. Too soft. You've allowed them out. Well done, no Reece.
Turn.
Good. Move again. Good movement, Reece. One turnover yet. One play. Don't feel sorry for yourselves. Get after them. Go again, Reece. Go. Better,
Yes,
Reece.
come on, go. Time. Get out! Move! Get out, Ben!
and I don't know what's happening to you today, lad.
Oh, you don't know what to do.
Best coach.
Oh, thing smells good now. Nice.
Go, Leaf.
Yeah, nice. Still in. No. That's I'm fine.
Yes, Josh.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Get nervous.
Nice. Phil. Nice. Out. 10-6. Match point.
What? Oh, not ready. I can't believe you just passed that back the way. There we go. I can't believe you just headed that back the way.
Oh, by the way, we got 10.
And finally on today's episode, we get the pre-match thoughts of Neil Byrne and Mickey Mellon.
And something like that just give you that galvanising effect to kick on now in the league?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it's so early on into the season. It's what, 2 games out of 46. You've got 44 games left. But listen, I think everyone always started the season. You want to get a win. You want to get your first point on the board, and you want to get your first bit of confidence brought into the team. And definitely 100%, we have to take confidence from that. We have to realise that, you know, we can't start the game like that. We need to come out all guns blazing from the start, like we did second half. And it can't be down to the manager to have to come in and tell us what he wants at half time. Sorry for us to go out and do second half. But no, 100%. You know, we've got a good group of lads. You know, everyone wants to do well. Everyone's, you know, trying their hardest. It's literally just about taking confidence from that game now and bringing it into Saturday and realising, and between ourselves understanding that, you know, we're a good team. We can cause teams problems. And like I said, 100% bringing that confidence into Saturday.
Fans and people like me might be talking about Newcastle, but that's in the future, isn't it? I mean, is it easy to concentrate on the job that you've got in hand now against Gillingham?
Oh, 100%. I know it's a saying in football, you can only concentrate on your next game, but it's true as players, as the coaching staff, as everybody. We've got the league games coming up. You know, we've got, I think, is it 3 or 4 league games before then. The Newcastle games, it's so far away now. You know, we need to concentrate on Saturday, concentrate on your team performance, concentrate on your own performance, concentrating on getting wins. Yeah, the Newcastle games in the distance, it's, you know, brilliant. Obviously after Tuesday getting the win, and you see the draw, but yeah, it's spoken about a little bit, but it's then quickly forgotten about, and it's all focused on the Saturday, Gillingham, the most important game.
And you've been here a few weeks now, one of the newcomers. How are you settling in?
Yeah, I feel like I've settled in. All right. The lads have been, you know, it's a very welcoming group. It's a really good group of lads. Everyone's sound, everyone's welcoming. Coach and staff have been brilliant. I think personally, when you go into a new dressing room or a new team, you're probably a bit quiet for the first couple of days and weeks, but then the more you play games, the more you get understandings of people. You then start to have cliques with players and everyone in the team. I think you can really see the togetherness in the team. You know, I mean, we go in, have our breakfast in the morning, or we're in the gym. Everyone's mixing around. There's no different groups or like that. It's one solid unit, as players, as coaches. But no, it's a really, really good group of lads, and one I definitely feel that we can do well with this season.
I know you're used to it, this kind of, you know, Saturday, midweek Saturday. It's a hard grind, isn't it? And particularly at the moment in the heat. Is that an issue at the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously there's factors that are involved in getting people prepared for performances, and one of them being it's hot, the other one being the amount of games that we're playing. What we know all about that at the start of the season, it's the same for everybody else. It's just about getting your mentality right and finding a way of performing well and getting results.
So Gillingham is the hurdle in front of you next. They've made a steady start to the season, I think, a win and a draw, and they won in the Cup as well. So what are you expecting?
Well, I know the manager well. I know that we're well organised. We've watched a lot of them. They're a strong team. Like I say, well organised, and we'll come in here expecting to do well. So the challenge is there for us again. Everybody comes to Tranmere and is they're always up for the challenge. So we need to make sure that we overcome and be bigger than that. So we'll look forward to it. We enjoy playing at home, like I say all the time. We're trying to put something together now, a way of playing. We just need to get consistent at that from the start of the game, and I'm sure we'll be more than fine.
You know the manager there you mentioned there, Neil Harris. I think he's had about half a season in there, the back end of last season. And do you see them as being potentially the teams that are going to be up there challenging for promotion? You
would imagine so. Yeah, they'll be really disappointed that they won't be able to stay in a division, but they know that at the end of the season, and they've got themselves prepared now to try and bounce back. They've recruited to try and do that. There'll always be a big club at this level, Gillingham. And the manager will be full of expectation, as you would expect. So yeah, we know it was going to be a tough game, and we'll need to be up and doing our best to make sure that we go and give ourselves a chance of getting a result.
And I know you've had a few injuries, obviously, from the start of the season. How are you looking for this one?
We picked up another couple on Tuesday. It's that time of the season where players are still trying to get fit. And still building on their fitness level, so you do run the risk of that at this stage of the season anyway, so it's no great surprise that you pick up bits and bobs at this stage of the season, so we have got our fair share, to be fair, but they're all here to play. As I always say, and you'll never get me here sitting making excuses about that. They're all here to play. They all know their jobs, we'll get them organised, and they'll be expected to go out there and perform in a way that we have practised to a level that will be needed to make a good fist of getting an important result with the weekend.
Thank you for watching. That's all we've got time for this week. But make sure, if you haven't already, you get your tickets for Saturday. They're cheaper online at trfctickets.co.uk. Let's get this place rocking, and let's get 3 points.
On this time,